What is up, guys? Kevin Cage back with another cryptocurrency update. Hope all is well, and wanted to do a super quick informal video update on ALGO and the Algorand Foundation. I know my last video update was back in October. We talked about actual utility being built on the blockchain system today, including air quality, copyright management, diamond authenticity, central bank digital currencies, of course, real estate property platforms, and now we have even more developments since then. So I want to kind of speed through a few points. I'm not telling you guys to buy any asset. What I'm saying is ALGO is part of my long-term holds. It is a very interesting project in my eyes. I encourage you guys to use this video as a resource. Look at the links in the video description. Go on my Twitter. I have retweeted all of this, and hopefully you guys can, decide for yourselves if you wanted to add this to your portfolio, or, maybe wait a few months and think on it. Overall, I'm just excited for this ecosystem to expand. And I'm not saying DLT is going to solve every problem, but I just named a few lists right there and they explain it perfectly. And keep in mind, it is in everybody's best interest to have a very strong, high-valued, secure network that, again, top-down approach becomes more decentralized or distributed over time. So, right here, guys, Darren, this is a must follow, and I'll shout out his page in 1 second. We have right here, US military is developing blockchain technology for, we're familiar with IoT, Internet of Things. Well, this is IOBT, Internet of Battlefield Things. They have looked at ALGO, XLM, and Ripple, so we can see the consensus models they've been considering have been Stellar, Ripple, and Algorand. And we'll look at that exact document just so you guys know it is actually true. But the document I did not catch was actually, it came out in June 2020. So really quick, just before we keep going, I'll scroll all the way up just so you can see it. So right here, data, provenance, assurance, and cloud using blockchain, June 2020. And we'll just do a little control find. And right here. So again, Stellar, Ripple, Algorand. Very interesting, right? They've talked about, permission blockchains like Hyperledger. Hyperledger's everywhere. And we do know that Hyperledger is active, or, was at least in the past with the company Ripple, ILP, you name it. Bunch of connections. I'll try not to go down my, XRP and Ripple rabbit holes like usual. I'll try to stick to this format. But anyways, just wanted to shout that out. And also, if you guys are interested in following, Algorand or looking at developments, of course, follow Algorand Foundation, Silvio Micali, but also Darren, this gentleman right here. He posts some very interesting things. Everything is sourced, and you guys can, just use it as a tool and decide for yourselves, right? So nonetheless, this is the Algorand ecosystem. From the technical side, the infrastructure, developers, SDKs, wallets, and exchanges, they're all changing. Something to note is the stable coins. And as we said, Algorand is one of literally the first to have an actual country building its fiat currency. The Marshall Islands with the sovereign building on it. And that's phenomenal. And it's not like they had to, lobby to do that or anything. What happened was the Marshall Islands hired a technology provider to go vet and look for an ecosystem. They chose Algorand, which is, I think, very, very telling of how good this technology really is. Silvio Micali, the founder, is a mathematician. I almost say math magician, essentially the same thing. And he did found zero knowledge proofs. We do know David Schwartz of Ripple, CTO, is a big fan of that as well. So nonetheless, very interesting. I've already mentioned, MIT's connections. You guys can look at this. 600,000 plus average transactions per day. Its scalability is really positioned differently than most other assets. Its settlement time is good, well under 5 seconds like many, but it can technically be able to scale in the future to ideally, 10,000 plus transactions per second. So definitely something to keep an eye on, guys. It is a top 50, 60 project. As you guys know, and as I've probably said a lot, I've been a long-term holder. I bought my first algo back when it was listed on Binance US back in the fall, 2019, or yeah, I think it was 2019. But nonetheless, we've come a long way, so just wanted to share. All right, so right here. So Darren, the Digital Euro Association is a think tank with expertise in the field of digital money. Algorand, R3 Corda, again, agnostic and settle in a variety of assets. Facebook's Diem are the main blockchains with representatives. And Algorand right here has 2 members on this page. So we can do a quick control find for the people at Algorand. So we can see senior economist right there, as well as a business solutions director. Now that I'm just remembering, I believe it is SFB Technologies. Yep, and this was the actual tech provider that went headhunting and decided to choose them, I believe. All right, and you guys can listen to that. I believe even Thinking Crypto on YouTube has an interview with the gentleman from Algorand Foundation, if I'm not mistaken. All right, and then there's a few other, ecosystems or groups and organizations such as, R3, Global Solutions Architect, Consensus right there, INAPA, which Ripple was a founding member with many other groups. So no surprise, IBM, Just goes on and on and on. So again, these organizations are future proofing. Deloitte has some obvious connections we've gone over, and there's just, a lot of digging that we could potentially do in this ecosystem. At the end of the day, my eggs are pretty well scattered in a variety of assets, and this is just one of them that is part of my long-term holdings. All right here, Alex J woke up, guys. He is a big ALGO fan. I encourage you guys to follow him if you are looking into ALGO. Showing a video clip of Brian Brooks, and I'm so grateful that everything he's done for us. He's going to leave some very big shoes to fill as acting comptroller of the currency to oversee the U.S. banking system, but made some huge developments for banks to hold crypto, for connecting to public blockchain networks. I think it is really going to set the stage nicely for adoption in the future. So going through a few of these connections, I've gone back and forth with them a lot. I've retweeted a lot of stuff showing some huge obvious connections that ALGO has. And yes, there are other groups that have some of these connections, like Ripple, obviously. But again, money talks, and I am betting in the ecosystem of these types of players. All right, so really quick, listen to the 16-second clip of Brian Brooks mentioning ALGO as just another example.
Connect as nodes on blockchains for the purpose of supporting and transacting payments. So if you think about it, the networks that are transacting stablecoins are not their own separate networks. They tend to be the Ethereum network or the ALGO network. Connect as nodes on blockchains.
So interesting, again, transacting stablecoins, we've shown the ecosystem as well, so just wanted to point that out. Also right here, so Darren again, so Euro e-money, Monerium, the first transaction of 500 euros has taken place on the Algorand mainnet blockchain. Euro e-money is an EU-approved regulated digital alternative to cash. This is just the start towards billions of digital transactions in Euro e-money. Now, some people will say, oh, this is not a big deal, but when you look across the board and look how far ALGO's come and how many other ecosystems they're experimenting on, and if you go back and watch this video I did going over literally like 5 to 8 different use cases and actual investments and like building that is happening today, I think you would change your mind and at least keep an open mind to, the success of these ecosystems, all right? Also, so we have Barry Finkelstein, head of North American business development at Algorand. Notice Algorand.com, a world-class blockchain powering secure and efficient frictionless exchange. And remember, they're like, how Ripple wants to reduce friction from payments? Well, ALGO often does say a borderless economy. And of course, they're already in like live building for central bank digital currencies. So notice they did hire Barry Finkelstein, the former managing director at UBS. Remember UBS, obvious connections, RippleNet as well, but utility settlement token, we have, and Merrill Lynch in New York City to head Algorand's North American business development and assist in capital market initiatives. Very interesting. Remember, we're in the building phase, guys. If you can't buy an asset and wait a few years, I don't recommend buying an asset. And this is just part of it, the developing ecosystem. You realize, even in the early 2000s, how long Amazon was trending sideways. But unfortunately, a lot of people, and I guarantee people watching this video, want to be insta millionaires overnight with doing minimal work. They put some money into something and wake up. But the truth is, that can happen, and it will happen. But it's a lot easier to get rich if you actually work your butt off towards that. All right, already showed this, the Algorand ecosystem again, going over that. And let's see, went over that document. Encourage you guys to check this out. You can just type in Kevin Cage, Algorand Foundation. And now just looking at this, I encourage you guys to use this. Go to algorand.foundation, look at the long-term algo dynamics, get familiar with the token distribution model, understand the basics of the technology. Why is it viable? How is it better than other competitors? What is its competitive edge? What problem is it serving? Get familiar with that. The stable coins, Tether, I'm indifferent about that. USD coin is something that I do support with Circle and Jeremy Allaire. I think Circle will be going public. Obvious connections with the whole ISO family. I've shown ALGO, XLM, XDC, who else? IOTA. Just some very, very obvious connections, all right? So just wanted to share this on the ALGO ecosystem. They're updating this. I would much rather point you towards this to look at instead. So just looking at that, this is all on Algorand Foundation. You can look at the transparency reports, the latest reports from October, January 2020, February, November, just kind of going through everything. You guys have the time to do so. And now just a few basics, and I'll speed through this. So ALGO is a cryptocurrency of the Algorand blockchain, and the Algorand blockchain has been built to help create an open, borderless economy, there's the terminology, where everybody can participate. This new type of digital economy can only run on a truly digital currency that works instantly for everybody. This is ALGO. Remember, the Internet of Value, guys, is going to be anywhere, anytime, for anybody and anything, essentially. So you can transact anything as well. So notice something I wanted to share was right here. So the fact that transactions occur instantly, obviously at no cost, is huge. And again, if you use a credit card instead of, use a credit card for a purchase, there could be anywhere between 3% and 7% in transaction fees alone. Guys, I'm going to relate it to transaction banking and the monopoly that some of the big players hold, and why Ripple is essentially a huge threat to them with XRP. All right, so 3 to 7% transaction fees with a credit card. You understand, days it takes to settle on the back end as well, and keeping track of it, for that matter, on centralized systems that are not distributed. There's an issue of trust in the world of e-commerce or even commerce. Instead of mutual trust, there is mutual mistrust. So who decides, who gets the copy of data? Well, with distributed systems and crypto assets specifically, everybody does. So it breaks those barriers down massively. So right here, this fee, that 3 to 7% transaction fee, is usually charged to the seller, who then in turn adds it to the price of the product you buy. By using ALGO, you and the seller both save on these fees, getting rid of the middlemen instead of, getting rid of intermediaries. It's called disintermediation. You're going to hear that term probably 1,000 times on this channel, meaning more money in your pocket and greater spending power. Interesting. So now there's other incentives that could lead to, more purchasing or, more demand for other assets, and kind of explode this whole economy, even with Jevons paradox. Makes you wonder. All right. And let's see. So again, paying attention to the speed, the scalability, the security aspect is very interesting as well. Out of all of this, I encourage you guys to look at the scalability aspect. I think it's a lot more complicated than most think, as well as the security aspect. Remember, Silvio Micali is pretty smart. I encourage you guys to check it out and kind of watch some of the videos he's done as well. All right, let me see if I have something here. This is the white paper. I use just kind of scanning through that. And right here, so on tradingview.com, this is a free website if you guys ever want to check it out. The links are in the video description. I have ALGO and the Tether USD pairing pulled up just on the daily, and just kind of seeing that it is well above the moving averages. So notice I have the 9 EMA and the 21 EMA. It's even above those. So am I telling you to buy this asset right now? No, I'm not saying that. I've been accumulating for a long time. Sometimes dollar cost averaging is your best friend. If you had, several $1,000s to buy, I know most people are in a rush and want to FOMO and go all in at once. But a much better strategy, in my opinion, is, put that money each and every month and divide it, on the first of the month and see where you're at. Because honestly, if we did come down another 20-30%, even to the 50 moving average, you'd be saving a lot of money. Let's see, what is that, like 20-30%? Yeah, so like 29% right there. I'm just so good at eyeballing these things after, charting so much, like literally hours per day. So, and then if you did, and it's just an example, if you got it at that 40-cent mark, hypothetically, in, a month or so, and you went back up, that's a 40% return just by being patient, essentially, 30 to 40%. So I think, every penny counts. If these assets moon like we anticipate in the future, would it really matter? Not really, but it does to me, because I want to make my money work for me as much as possible and optimize my returns as an investor. I don't want to be the typical retail investor that just FOMOs into everything and has no way to rebalance their portfolio and track it. I want to be very, very calculated. I'm not the same person I was in 2017. And then even late 2017, when we saw the explosion and crypto assets were up 200% every other day. I'm wanting that bull run to come for the alts, and I do believe it will be coming sooner than later. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like this video if you do like ALGO, and if you want to comment any other cryptos below that you want me to review or go through. There's hundreds of thousands of cryptos. I have my eye on probably a good 30. It's hard to keep track of them all. So again, I'm working with you guys, doing my best to try to keep track of this crazy, exciting space, and I will see you in the next one.